Hello everybody and welcome back to TTL. Round number 7 is the Canadian Grand Prix and it takes us to the Circuit de Gilles Villeneuve. It's a fantastic circuit, very fast and quite a few opportunities to get it wrong with the close walls, especially in the first and second sector. My name is Kieran McGinley and I'll be taking you through this round today. So let's have a look at the driver's standings. At the top we've got Blizard on 93 points, DarrenSinclair is in second on 83, Spike in third on 80, Chor is in fourth on 65 points, CG is in fifth on 36, The Gore in sixth on 30 and Light Heat joins him on the same points. Raikkonen on 27 in 8th place, Sao Paulo is in 9th on 25 and Humbug at the bottom of the table there in 10th on 24. Moving on to the next page, Useless is in 11th on 22 points, Maze is in 12th on 21, Poe is in 13th on 18 points, Lambo in 14th on 15, tied with Crazy Legs who's retired from the season. Shunts is in 16th with 8 points, Steph is in 17th with 6, Alan K is 18th with 3 points, Weed Nation is 19th with 2, and Pazos is in 20th place with 1 point. Joint with him are Little Piece and Geordie, both scoring a point apiece for Haas at the moment. Moving on to the constructors table then, Williams are at the top on 107, Renault in second on 86, joint with them are Toro Rosso, they're in third, both on 86. Fourth is Sauber on 70, 2 points behind them, Force India in fifth place on 68 points. In sixth it's Mercedes on 62, McLaren are in seventh on 58 points. With 30 points it's Ferrari, they're in 8th place, only 3 points behind a Red Bull, they're in 9th on 27, and Haas are in 10th at the bottom there with 8 points. So, the Canadian Grand Prix, let's have the hot lap, which is coming up after this edit. So, here we go then, on a lap of Montreal, Canada. A very fast-paced circuit here, capable of 1 minute 10. Across the start line we go with Useless here, it is home Grand Prix, as we head into turn 1 and then through to turn 2. Very easy to lock up going into turn 1 there. Sacrifice your exit turn 1 to get to turn 2, absolutely spot on. Then we're heading towards 3 and 4 here, take it easy on the exit on the entry of 3 I should say. It's very easy to corner cut there, 4 should flow through. And you go through turn 5, keep close to the wall there as you brake for 6. Very easy to lock up here, keep away from the curbs as you go through turn 7 there. You risk spinning the rear tyres up and losing a lot of time. We're heading down this sort of little back straight now towards turns 8 and 9, very fast flowing section this one, and as we head out of turn 9, make sure now you keep the steering wheel as light as possible as you head towards the hairpin now. Hairpin brake at the 100-metre board as you turn in. Make sure as well to keep the car as close to that curb as possible to get yourself a better exit as you come out of the slight kink of 11, slight kink of 12 now as you head towards the DRS zone. On the second white line there, catches a lot of drivers out, and as you head now down towards Casino Straight, towards turns 13 and 14. Slight bump in the road, take the braking point there and get the sleeping policeman spot on, avoid the wall of champions and head towards the line, taking the straightest line possible. Well, here we are at the Circuit Gilles Villeneuve, which in its current state has been used since 1996 with very little changes to the track. It was first used, I believe, in 1978 when it was moved from Mosport in terms of driver safety in the period where drivers were genuinely feared and scared of tracks they were coming up against. Since then though, it's gone under a couple of changes, a couple of chicanes have been added, but we still have the very infamous Wall of Champions, the turns 13 and 14, where in 1998 I believe it was. I think it was 1998. It was either that or 97. Where, yeah, so 3 world champions headed into the wall. Michael Schumacher, Jacques Villeneuve, and I believe it was... Yeah, I'm going to have to look this up. But yeah, 3 champions headed into the wall on exactly the same race. And they were forced to retire the car, and from then on it's been known as the Wall of Champions. Plenty of drivers have crashed into the Wall of Champions. In fact, you don't even need to be a champion to have crashed into the wall and claim it, but of course that's a very harsh corner that can catch you out very, very much. We'll have a look now and see who's the first person to set a lap. I believe it will be Blizard is the first person out on track, as Little Piece is closely following We'll have a look here. I believe it will be Blizard. The championship leader will be the first person to set a lap. Through the wall of champions he goes into the DRS zone and across that start-finish line, taking the qualifying line rather than the racing line, heading into turn 1. Always a free-flowing track, Montreal. It's one of my favourites as we now head towards turns 3 and 4, this fast chicane here. Always a joy to drive, Montreal. Maybe not many overtaking opportunities, but it's all about getting that absolute spot-on line as you go around the track. Who could forget in 2011 when Jenson Button pulled out one of the greatest... Was it 2011 or 2012? I'm shockingly bad with my history today. I think it was 2012. It was 2012 when Sebastian... Was it 2013? You know what? I'm just going to hold my hands up and say I don't know, but it was home to one of Jenson Button's greatest ever drives. He was in every single position during that race, and well, he ended up winning the race after one of the longest races in Formula 1 history. Exceeded the 4-hour mark for the first ever time, and most of that was due to a red flag due to the storm passing over. Blizard then heading towards the line, and he's going to set the first lap. It's a 1:10.6. Is the first lap of the day. Little Piece sets a 1:12.7. We have CG coming into the pits then. Plaster sets a 1:13.9. We'll have a look, see DarrenSinclair coming through the last chicane now. Lambo sets a 1:11.3. DarrenSinclair then heading towards the line and sets a 1:14.4. It got invalidated. Alan Kay then sets a 1:12.8. Z3 heading towards the line now. I believe we have Light E up ahead of him, so we'll have a look at the two Ferraris then. Light E sets a 1:11.4, puts him up into third. Z3 goes 1:12.1 and puts him up into fourth. Stefan the Gort then still out there. The Gort sets a lap time of 1:11.8, puts him up into fourth place. And now Steph coming towards the line again, taking that qualifying line, keep the steering wheel as straight as possible, and Steph will then start a flying lap. So Raikkonen setting his 1:12.2 on super soft tyres. It would be odd to not see him on super soft tyres during qualifying, but he'll head round now. So only a couple of drivers haven't set a lap time yet. DarrenSinclair will be looking to try and set another one as he heads towards the last chicane here, as he heads through, clipping those curbs very nicely indeed, heads towards the line, keeping to the right hand side as far as possible to get the optimum line, and DarrenSinclair puts it on pole position, 1:10.5. Steph then heading around, he's on a flying lap right now, and coming up to the hairpin now. So we shall see what happens as he gets out of the... he pulls away from the hairpin. The only year this wasn't used since 1978 was 2005 and 1987. We're not sure about the 1987 one, but the track was just not used in 2009 due to repairs. Steph then coming across the line in 9th place, a 1:12.2 he sets there. Spike, I believe, is on an outlap right now. Yes, that's a 3:40, so he's definitely not on a flying lap right now. But here we go then. He's on a flying lap now, and we'll see what he can do. So he heads through now, through this right-hander, then comes into the left and right. This is always a difficult part of the track because the back end wants to slide away if you're not got the ballast right, you're not got the suspension right. CG's out on track there, starting a flying lap. Hazels is also out there as well. He's on his outlap right now. But Spike then heading towards the hairpin now, and through the hairpin he goes, trying to get the back end as stable as possible now. Spike heading towards the Wall of Champions chicane. It's always very off-putting, that chicane, but if you get it right, it's absolutely spot on. Get a great feeling heading out of there. Third place in the championship. Spike heads towards the camera, glitches it out for a second. That's how close to the wall he got, and Spike then sets a 1:10.8. So that is around 3/10 off of DarrenSinclair. CG then heading through now, down this long back straight where you're on the throttle for about 15 seconds before you have to do any braking. There's a small bump in the road, and that's where you got to do your braking as you head towards that last chicane. Heading now does CG towards the start finish line. What the time he's going to set is, it's a 1:11.1 and puts him P4 right now. So Pazels is the last driver, the penultimate driver to set a lap then. Mays still hasn't set a lap just yet as he heads towards that start-finish line. Through this Wall of Champions section he goes. A little bit of oversteer on the way out and decides to take a little bit more of a racing line. And he sets a 1:12.9, puts himself into P14. So Mays then still on his outlap, as is Light E. So Light E on an outlap here, as he looks to try and grab himself a higher position. Towards the line he goes then, and away he goes for his lap. We've also got Little Piece out there who's on some super soft tyres, loses the back end slightly. Alan Kay starts his lap, as Hazel's looking like he's going to try and make his way back to the pits, being 5 seconds off the pace. The Gort then starts his lap, so we've got to keep an eye on these drivers now, as CG is slowly making his way back to pit lane in that low fuel mode. It's always very painful when you're in a powerful Formula 1 car and you can only go 57 miles per hour. It's always very painful, but he's just got to keep it away from the racing line if he can. I don't think there's anyone coming up behind him, so we shall ride on board with someone else. Lighty then is probably going to be one of the first ones to set their second lap time of the session, as he makes his way through that DRS zone now. A couple of cars ahead, but Lighty now heading towards that chicane. Can he make the best of it? I think he can. That's a good line through there. A little bit of oversteer on the exit there, but not too worry. Mays goes P10 with a 1:12.1, but Lighty goes 4th with a 1:10.9 and pushes CG down to 5th place. The Gort heading down the back straight then. Alan Kay heading towards the line. This hasn't been a great lap for him. It's a 1:15.2. He's going to go again. And the Gort heads towards the line, sets a 1:11.3 and moves himself up into P7. Lambo on a lap here, as is Spike. No, sorry, not Spike. But DarrenSinclair is on an out lap. We'll have Ride on board with Z3 here, as he's on a flying lap. Steph isn't. Little Piece is. He's a 10th off on those super soft tyres, and he heads through this little section here of turns 8 and 9, heading towards the hairpin now. So Z3 up down the back straight here, down this casino straight. Through this Wall of Champions he goes, and heads towards the start finish line. And what's the lap time he's going to set? To 1:11.9, and he puts himself up into P9. I believe that was Mays there going P6 with a 1:11.2. Light E then sets a 1:10.9, and he might not have that much fuel left in the tank now. Steph heading towards the line. We'll ride on board with him as we see if there's anyone on a lap. Little Piece is taking a little bit of an excursion there. I wonder if he's retiring from the session, and it looked like he ghosted for a minute there, and I think that's the case. No, he's going again. He's still going out there, or is he? I'm not too sure. Anyway, we'll ride on board with Steph then, who goes up into P12. Either that or it was an out lap. Oh, I see. He moved out of the way. Oh, okay. That makes sense then. As DarrenSinclair then sets a 1:10.4. Now, Blizard won't make it out onto track, or he will actually. It says outlap. I thought it said pit there, but Blizard will make it towards the line. DarrenSinclair retires from the session. That's him done. He says he sets that marker down and says bring it on. Blizard then onto his outlap and then towards the line now. It's a do or die lap for Blizard now as Light E comes into the pits. He's done for the day. Lambo coming towards the pits as well. As CG comes towards the line now. Yellow flags in this sector won't matter too much to these guys, and CG here will get a chance to start a lap. Lambo here coming towards the line, and Lambo retired from the session, so he obviously made a mistake and couldn't recover it. Spike then on a flying lap. Can he make anything of this? As the checkered flag falls, we can see who's exactly out there, but Spike does not carry on with his lap. So he got at least third right now, and Spike, yeah, Alan Kay, retires from the session, as Blizzard still flying out there. Can he cause a storm? As he comes out of the hairpin here, down Casino Straight, this long straight now, and you just got to hope that you've got enough front wing to get you there, or at least it's as low down as it can possibly be. Through this last chicane he goes. What's it going to be? He loses the back end and hits the wall, and Blizzard, well, Blizzard's not had the luck there, and he retires from the session. So the only man on track now are, well, Z3 is not going to finish, and CG heads his way into the pits then. So that's your session then, and we'll have the full results coming up after this edit. So then, the results screen then. DarrenSinclair takes pole position by 0.2 of a second from Blizard. Spike then in third, Light E is fourth, Lambo in fifth, CG sixth, Raikkonen 7th, Maze is in 8th, The Gort is in 9th, Weed Nation 10th, Z3 11th, Steph is in 12th, Alan Kay 13th, Little Piece 14th, Pazos 15th, Plaster 16th, and that is the grid for the Canadian Grand Prix. The race then coming up after this edit. Michael Schumacher has the most amount of wins at the Canadian Grand Prix with 7 in his entire career, and well, Ferrari and McLaren both having 13 wins at this circuit. We have 35 laps of the Canadian Grand Prix to come, 2.7 mile laps, and well, let's just put it this way: the fastest lap in the Canadian Grand Prix in real life was a 1:14.5. That was set by Lewis Hamilton during that race. Of course then, this is TTL and anything can happen. We're going to go on to the formation lap in just a second. So away the drivers go then for their formation lap, and as you can see, the top 10 on the ultra soft tyres and the rest are on some super softs. Of course, DarrenSinclair, we need to watch out for him. Second place in the championship, a good result at Monaco, in fact winning the event, has managed to close the gap after Blizzard, who was absent for the last race. Spike is still in win contention on third place there, and he'll be hoping to put up a fight coming into the Canadian Grand Prix. The top 3 in the Drivers' Championship take up the top 3 spots. Light E putting himself into 4th place in Ferrari. Ferrari having a much better season than last time out. Can he keep the form going? Lambo in 5th, and CG in 6th. The two Force Indias having a great qualifying session. Raikkonen there in 7th place on the ultra soft tyres. Very odd for him because he normally starts on the harder compound. Watch out for Z3 then, the other Ferrari, who's on the super soft tyres, and also for Steph as well, who's made it onto the soft tyres. Maze in the Mercedes has got a couple of more points to his name, and he'll want to keep that point scoring form going as they head down this long Casino Straight now. The formation of cars making their way towards that start finish line. All eyes will be on the start though between these three, and we will see how they go. We've got DarrenSinclair on pole, Blizzard in 2nd, Spike in 3rd. Watch out for those 3 coming into turns 1 and 2. It could be very close. The race then coming up. Here we go then. 5 red lights here at Canada. They're out and off we go. What are the starts like then? Looks like DarrenSinclair's got a brilliant start off the line. We'll look out for Z3, who's on the outside there. There's Force India made contact there, and the Ferrari's been forced off the track. He's rejoined the circuit, but he's going to be so slow coming out of that corner then. DarrenSinclair still leads the way then, and look at the flurry of cars heading in towards turns 3 there. Did everyone make it through though? We'll have a look now. Light E's got a 10-second stop time penalty. I think that's very harsh from the game to give him that, considering he wasn't giving him much room. And Steph, and little piece there made cut. Was that Steph? Yes, it was Steph. But who did he make contact with there? I think that was with Weed Nation. It was, yes. You could see Steph tap the rear side of Weed Nation's car, and as you can see there's Steph waiting up for Weed Nation to give him back the place. Meanwhile then Alan Kay is giving positions back here. Maybe he didn't want to give 2 positions back, did he? Well, he's done it now. Blizard then still challenging DarrenSinclair up at the front. Surely he's not going to make a move coming into this chicane here. It's always damned if you do, damned if you don't move going into the chicane here. A beautiful section here of the track, and Light E there gets a little bit tail happy, and Lambo here could have a chance coming into turn 1 here. He will. He tried down the inside there, as you can see in the distance, but the Ferrari of Light E just about holds on, and the 2 Force Indias behind him are looking for that podium position. CG then in 5th, Raikkonen 6th, Spike drops down to 7th after that start. The Gort's in 8th, Mays is in 9th there, Little Piece is in 10th, Z3 11th, Paisley's in 12th, Plasters 13th, Alan Kay 14th, Weed Nation 15th, and then Steph there is in 16th on the soft tyres. Blizard then still trying to close in on DarrenSinclair. He's only 3/10 behind as well, and with Spike down in 7th, these two will just want to try and get away from their nearer title rival. So it's DarrenSinclair still leading the way from Blizard as they head round the hairpin. But Light E is in 3rd at the moment, holding back the 2 Force Indias right now. You can see the Red Bull of Raikkonen in the distance there, as well as Spike. We'll have a look at Spike as he heads down here, because he is going to want to make some moves up and make them quickly too. Fast laps here, high octane, and no room for error here at Canada. You've got to be on it from start to finish. It's such a high demand track, as Blizard sets the fastest lap of the race, which is already faster than what Lewis Hamilton managed in the actual race, a 1:13.4, and of course they're only going to get quicker. Blizard then on the back of DarrenSinclair, and what sort of move could he make? If he can make a move. It is difficult to overtake here, but it's not impossible, not as impossible as Monaco. Z3 in 11th, still trying to chase down Little Piece, and Little Piece holding his own out there in 10th place. The Ferrari though wants to get up and get past, as now Little Piece is the leading super soft runner. Spike still on the back of Raikkonen. Then we see up ahead we've got Lambo right on the tail of Light E there, as now will he make the move? He's going to go down the inside as he lost the back end, and Lambo has lost the back end, allowed CG to come through, and well, Lambo here might be under threat here from Raikkonen, who's smelling blood here. If he sees that mistake, he's going to capitalise on it. Coming down the casino straight now, and they're all single file at the moment, just trying to settle into some rhythm and some pace here towards the start of this Grand Prix. DarrenSinclair 1:13.3. And we see the Mercedes there. I believe that is the Gort there. Is that the Gort? Yes, it was the Gort, running slightly wide there. Hasn't hurt him too much though, as he continues to chase down. Meanwhile though, Z3 has managed to make it past Little Piece there. Just about missed a move, but he went down the inside there. And as Steph trying to recover, goes down the inside of Weed Nation, makes that position stick. Alan Kay has found himself way back. He must have had to pit in, maybe a front wing change after the first lap. Still DarrenSinclair, one Toro Rosso at the front, one at the back, and DarrenSinclair still leads the way from Blizard. Light E is 4.1 behind Blizard, which means he's around about 5 seconds back from the race leader. He's under threat from CG though, followed by Lambo, Raikkonen, Spike the Gort in that battle for 3rd place right now. And between all of the cars, it's not much separating them at all, as we head onto the 5th lap of this race. Lap 5 will tick over any moment now, but you'll see here CG and Lambo with that DRS. They've managed to close up. Of course, there's 2 DRS zones here, but only 1 activation point, which means if you make it past, you've got DRS down this straight, regardless of whether you're behind them or not. Here comes CG down the inside of Light E. Does he make that move stick? No, he doesn't, and he'll try to force his way through on the inside. Look at this now, as we're now going to head towards turns 3 and 4, that chicane there, but he can't keep it on that inside line, and that is him staying behind for now, but it was right on the tail of him. Oh, a little bit of a moment there for Spike we saw as he just came through, but he's about recovered it. CG then still on the back of Light E, and he's really harassing him for that position. He's, you would think he's going to get this move done sooner rather than later, but it's just where. He's, you know, he's quicker than Light E. Light E's doing his best here to make that car as wide as possible, and it's always frustrating when you know you're the faster car, but you just can't find a way past. It's very frustrating, and that frustration can lead to a dive bomb move, which causes an incident. So CG just has to keep his cool, because he knows if he makes a mistake, the other drivers behind him are definitely going to capitalise. Heading down Casino Straight once again with that DRS wide open, and still on the back of Light E. Light E comes into the pits here. Bold strategy on lap 5. Light E comes into the pits here. Did he tag the wall? Is this going to be a front wing change, or is this strategy? Comes into the pits. Ah, you see, he's got a 5-second time penalty, but he would have served that at his first stop, which he's done. Away he goes. But if he had to pit in for like that, it would have been for a drive-through. But nevertheless then, Light E comes in, and on go another set of ultra-soft tyres. The Gort has conceded to Spike here, who's managed to find his way through up into 6th place. Spike then on a charge. His next target's Raikkonen. Lambo and CG now, as my voice does a little bit of a acrobatic, I don't know what it did there. Wasn't good anyway. Here we go then, Lambo and CG here are going to be fighting for this podium position. And we saw last time out that lots of oversteer there from Lambo, and Raikkonen here can see him. But Lambo here in the slipstream of CG with the DRS wide open, and CG is going to try and defend from Lambo. Lambo swoops it down the inside. He's lost the back end. He's lost it. He's hit CG there. He's lost control of the car, lost that front wing, and that's the risk there of trying to go down the inside. You get that compromised line, and for Lambo there, well, it's a huge disaster for him. He just wanted to try and get past, and it's cost him a front wing. Spike then, as Raikkonen takes up lawn mowing for a living there, going through turn 4, as Spike here wants to try and get past, but you can see how eager the Gort is to pick up on Raikkonen's mistake. He wants to try and go through Spike there to take that position, and Spike goes defensive then to try and break the slipstream from the Gort, and you can see there Alan Kay's retired from the session, and that is, yeah, so he must have, that is outside of the Wall of Champions, so he must have lost it, lost the back end, tried to correct and just couldn't do it, and he's collected that inside wall there on the left-hand side. He's out of the race. That is his race done. So then the Gort here still trying to chase down Spike. He wants that position back. Spike up into 4th place right now with Light E pitting, who rejoins in 14th place. Meanwhile then, Z3, if I can try and ride on board with him, has managed to get past Lambo. Lambo comes into the pits. Now, did Lambo have damage at all? Raikkonen is into the pits as well on those from those ultra soft tyres. Raikkonen coming in, changing his front wing. Lambo in as well, and he's changing a front wing too. So did the Force Indians cause each other so much damage there that they both have to pit in? Well, you can see behind there, Plaster and Light E. Light E on the fresh ultra soft tyres. He has so much more grip than those two, and he's going to try and go down the inside going into turn 3. Not an ideal overtaking place, but he's got the move done, and Plaster doesn't give up too much of a fight there. And Light E up into 11th place, now trying to chase down Steph. Here's the Gort though, and Blizard. Sorry, we're going to jump on board because Blizard is trying to chase down DarrenSinclair for the lead of the race, and DarrenSinclair goes defensive going into the chicane here, and he's going to get a compromised line very slightly. He might lose the back end on the way out, but Blizard is going to be on him, and coming down into turn 1 now. Blizard trying to go round the outside, which then becomes the inside. DarrenSinclair cuts off that line and keeps Blizard behind for now. Gort then still trying to chase down Spike here. Spike getting away from him very slightly, and just trying to get his way through. Meanwhile then Light and Steph there. Steph into the wall, and I think Light E was using a bit of aggression there coming through the chicane there, and Steph's lost his front wing too. And well, the wall may not have claimed anyone yet, but the chicane itself has claimed 3 front wings right now. The lead at the top is 9/10 of a second. Blizzard's lost about 9/10 on this lap alone, and I don't know why, but might have been a slight mistake, a little bit of oversteer maybe, but he's back on it now, 4/10 behind, and he will keep closing with that DRS open. Down Casino Straight. What can he do coming into 13 and 14 here? This chicane, the policemen there are not kind to you at all, and Blizzard here could have another go going into turn 1 here. As we enter lap 10, Blizzard stays behind for now, and as they sweep through for the 10th time this race, CG comes into the pits now from 5th place, and he'll come in with another front wing change, another one on there. Meanwhile then Pazels moves himself up into 7th place with all the drama that's happened so far. The Gort chasing down Spike, still chasing down Spike, and he wants that position. Ever since Spike took it away from him, the Gort's been all over him. But what can he do as we head down this sort of little back straight towards turns 8 and 9? CG making his way past Plaster here, and Weed Nation is looking to try and be the next driver past, as we see here at the top. Keeping an eye on that battle at the top then, because DarrenSinclair still trying to defend from Blizzard. As we head down the straight now, Blizzard looks down the inside, gives DarrenSinclair a little bit to think about as he heads through the chicane there. Maybe try to put him off slightly. Yellow flags in sector 2 and 3. But Blizzard now is going to try and move down the inside. It will become the outside, and will Blizzard be able to cut back here? No, he can't, and he stays behind for now. Weed Nation here is seemingly lost out here. He has DRS, but look at this now. This is not a pretty sight. They want to go 3 wide going into this chicane here. 2 of them are trying to go 2 wide here. The Red Bulls trying to fight each other, and they keep it clean somehow. And Weed Nation, I was on board with the wrong driver. Weed Nation went into the pits and missed the aftermath of what could have been. Maze then trying to go down the inside of Plaster. That will then become the outside going into turn 2, but Maze has already got the move done thanks to those fresher tyres. The Gort's still trying to chase down Spike, still on him, and he's just piling on the pressure now. He wants that 3rd place right now, and he's going to do a lot to try and get it. Blizzard then still on the back of DarrenSinclair, and this is for the fight for the lead, and DarrenSinclair comes into the pit. Blizzard stays out, and DarrenSinclair there's got a 5-second stop go for speeding in the pit lane. It's one of the most difficult pit lanes on the calendar, that in Italy, to try and get absolutely right that braking zone. DarrenSinclair hasn't got it right. 5 seconds it looks like are going to be added on to the end of his race. So he heads towards the pit lane exit now, and unless he has to stop again, which I doubt he will on those soft tyres, he'll have to stop there for 5 seconds. And the Gort there, in all of that, I've missed it, the Gort's made it past Spike. Up into 2nd place he goes. Little Piece then on the back of Z3, and now DarrenSinclair's got another time penalty for multiple warnings. Little Piece there, we saw with him, just taps the wall very slightly there. Maybe got away with that one. And as he tries to chase down Z3. Plaster and Weed Nation here. Sorry, with Lambo, sorry. My mistake there. Trying to chase him down, but Plaster I don't think has stopped yet, so he's going to be struggling on those tyres. Little Piece though still on the back of Z3. Ferrari versus Red Bull, and does Z3 have a bit of damage on the right hand side of his wing there? Yes, he does. So will Z3 come into the pits, as now Blizzard comes into the pits. Blizzard into the pits now. He got the limiter right. Whether he is manual or automatic is another question. On go the soft tyres, and away he goes. Spike will take the lead for now, but where is DarrenSinclair? He comes past the start line now. Where is Blizard? He exits the pit lane, but the pit lane here is very unique. But DarrenSinclair still rejoins ahead of Blizard there. So Spike takes the lead of the race. He hasn't stopped yet, but with DarrenSinclair only 2.2 behind, it's only a matter of time before he does pit. Little Piece then hits the wall harder that time and still gets away with it. Very lucky there, Little Piece, and he's still trying to chase down Z3 for 4th place. Z3 has front wing damage, but he's not stopping. He wants to stay out there and use as much of the track as possible, use as much of those tyres as possible. He may get increased wear, he may get less downforce out there, but in terms of strategy, it's worth him just staying out there for now. Into the hairpin and out they go. Step sets a 1:12.6. We're slashing our way through some qualifying times here. As Little Piece still on the back of Z3 as Spike comes into the pits now. Little Piece on the back of Z3, stays behind him for now, but Z3 brakes in the middle of the corner there to try and get that curb, that second curb spot on, which he does in the end. And it just caused the Little Piece to react a little bit, couldn't quite take advantage of that second curb, and stays behind for now. Elsewhere then, DarrenSinclair leads the way, 1.6 ahead of Blizard, and penalties will be added up at the end, of course. Little Piece is there trying to chase down Z3 still. Spike on the back of CG on soft tyres here, and he is closing that gap between them. Great camera angle, and I'm trying to see the battle in front of Spike here. Little Piece chasing down Z3 with CG trying to defend from Spike here. Spike runs a little wide there, and we head towards the hairpin now. With Spike locking up, coming into the hairpin there. Whether that's the lag or whether he actually did lock up is another question. We'll jump back on board with Little Piece and Z3 here, because they're planning and trying to go too wide coming in there as Little Piece cuts back, backs out of the corner, but then Z3 comes into the pits anyway. Spike here then, still on the back of CG, as we see up ahead the Gort now on the back of Pazels. Pazels, who hasn't stopped yet during this race, has managed to find his way up into 4th place. But with those worn tyres there, it's only going to be a matter of time before the Gort finds a way through purely on tyre wear. But Pazels then still holding off the Gort, which he's got pressure now coming up from CG and Spike there joining this queue. And the Gort then goes to the inside, and Pazels there doesn't put up too much of a fight, does he? He tried to, but he just doesn't have the tyres to keep up. He doesn't have the tyres to fight, and Pazels here is going to find himself. Is he going to find himself down another position as we head into the hairpin now, as CG launches it up the inside and gets the better traction, or does he? Pazels here still trying to fight his way through. He's trying to pick up the slipstream from the Gort ahead of him, but as you can see there, CG has made his way through. It takes back the racing line, and the Renault there of Spike did have a look up the inside of Pazels there, and thought better of it when Pazels wanted to take a line different than the one he was, well, the racing line I should say. Now Spike then is the next person to try and get past Pazels here. As Pazels here, is he going to try a super soft, ultra soft, a one stop? It would be unconventional, but if he can pull it off, it would be a great strategy, at least to get him some points. He's kept his nose clean, and Spike going down the inside there, and takes that position away from Pazels. And I wonder when Pazels is going to stop here, because if he stops at around lap 20, he might be able to get those ultra softs to the end, but it's going to be a huge ask. I wonder if he's going to go onto a set of soft tyres because of maybe the tyre wear. Anyway, CG up the inside of the Gort here and gets 3rd place. The Gort then, where the DRS is positioned, CG is actually to get the DRS here. Open it goes, and the Gort here can't really attack with anything because of where the DRS zone or activation zone is. And the Gort comes into the pit lane, and we'll have a look on board now. Z3 on the back of Plaster now. The Red Bull trying to defend from the Ferrari with Little Piece, the Haas, behind him too. Plaster then up the inside. Trying to defend from Z3, who comes up the inside. Z3 though gets the move done before the chicane, and now Little Piece there is trying to make his way through by jumping the curb there, but not quite, as he looks to try and go down the inside of turn 1, thinks about it but not quite, and he'll try again. Meanwhile though, Blizard has taken the lead of the race from DarrenSinclair, and that is going to, well, that is a huge wave there. But the Renault there of Steph gets out of the way to let the front two through. The Gort then on Little Piece. The Gort just coming out of the pit lane, picks himself up a time penalty, and you can see behind him Weed Nation and Light E, but in front of him you can see Little Piece and Plaster, as he'll look to try and get past these two as quickly as he possibly can. And Little Piece making a mistake there coming out of turn number 9, and you can see there the Gort round the outside, and Little Piece trying to defend that inside line. Do they touch? Yes they do, just a little touch there, but the Gort will get DRS on Little Piece, but Little Piece gets DRS on Plaster. And Plaster here may not have much to defend with 4 cars barreling down on him. That's not a sight you want to see in your rear views, as we head into the chicane now, as Weed Nation tries to go up the inside. He passed up back out of it, and now Light E might get a chance to go around the outside of Weed Nation here, which then becomes the inside line, and the Gort there, Little Piece has made it past Plaster. Meanwhile though, Light E trying to make it past Weed Nation now, and they're side by side now as they head towards turns 3 and 4. Plaster up ahead trying to hold off the Gort for a little bit longer, but Weed Nation just about stays ahead for now. The Gort though trying to go down the inside. You can see him go round the outside. Now he's down the inside again, which then becomes the outside. Plaster trying to fight with all the tyre wear he's got, and the Gort there squeezing his way past, and Plaster there still trying to defend as Weed Nation tries to launch it up the inside. Plaster has to take evasive action by cutting the track there, and Plaster then falls all the way down to 13th in just a space of a couple of laps. Meanwhile then, Light E trying to go down the inside of Weed Nation. Into the hairpin he goes, and Light E makes it past Weed Nation, and he goes up into 11th place. Meanwhile then, Lambo trying to go up the inside of Pazels here. Pazels tried to take that inside line, and Lambo still trying to get onto him. And Pazels here still trying to defend, still on those super softs he started with. So this is a commendable drive from Pazels right now. But you'll see here, Lambo and Raikkonen are just barreling down on him, and you can see they're almost 3 wide coming through the turn 5 there as they go through 6 and 7. Pazels here won't have much traction coming out of 7 here. It's very difficult to put the power down on new tyres, at least, as we head towards turns 8 and 9 now. And Lambo goes up the inside of Pazels through turn 9. He's made the position stick. Raikkonen then still on the case as he wants to try and get past Pazels now as well. He goes down the inside into the hairpin and makes the move stick. Now he's got to try and get onto the back of Lambo here. But Pazels will have DRS and will have that slipstream of the Red Bull. Can he make a nuisance of himself to the Red Bull once again? Looks like he's too far back. Looks like he's falling behind. And well, there you go then. Lambo 5th, Raikkonen 6th, Pazels in 7th. And Pazels comes into the pits after 19 laps on those super soft tyres. They must be screaming at him. But it'll be interesting to see now which tyres he goes onto. Maybe he'll go onto the Ultra Softs. I see some Ultra Softs ready. Or maybe that's just a trick of the eye there, as Pazels comes in and puts the soft tyres on. So he'll definitely be able to get to the end of the race on those. He'll rejoin now. Interesting pit lane here. And where will he rejoin? He rejoins in front of Light E. But can he hold that position? Yes, he can. Pazels now up into 8th place in front of Light E, who pitted very early on. Tried to make a 2-stop work here, and finds himself behind Pazels now. Well, the Gort here as well has joined the fray on the super soft tyres, and you can see there the Gort barreling down on Light E here. And they'll head towards turn number 8 now, and 9. Right on the back of Pazels now. And can he get a move into the hairpin maybe? As he'll certainly try a look down the inside. Yes, he will. The Ferrari going down the inside. And CG's out of the race. Oh, what's happened there? Well, it looks like he might have just got a tap there, because it's a very, very odd place to go off at. He may have got a tap there from another car that sent him careering towards the wall. In any case, though, he is out. That's all we can say for now. Meanwhile, back on board with Light E, the Gort and Pazels. They're all throwing through the yellow flag zone now, so no overtaking from any of the drivers here, of course, until they make it to the green flag zone. And you can see on the Gort steering wheel there, the yellow lights flashing. Now they go green, and now we can go racing again. And the Gort here trying to put Light E under a bit of pressure here, as Pazels doesn't want to let them get too far away here, as he's coming under pressure. No, Little Piece is getting away from him. So Pazels here has got some pace here towards the end of the race, and he could have a say in this final part of the race. The Gort then still trying to find a way past Light E, and this will be some great points for Sauber if he can get them, Pazels, as well, he's still on the back of the Gort and Light E, and he made those super softs work incredibly well. And oh, he's gone into the back of the Gort there, missed his braking point, gone straight into the back of the Gort, and all that hard work he did on the super soft tyres seems to have shot now. He'll have to come back to the pits now, and will he replace that front wing, or is he going to carry on with them? We'll have to see here. Is he... No, he keeps on going. He stays in the race, he stays on the track, and with less downforce, so he's going to struggle a lot now as we head into the closing stages of this race. We've got about 14 laps to go here at the Canadian Grand Prix. Blizard still leads the way though, but DarrenSinclair just behind him, staying within DRS range of him. Spike finds himself up into 3rd place. Lambo is in 4th. Raikkonen is 5th. Z3 6th. Light E is 7th, with the Gort just behind him, still trying to put him under pressure. Pazels then is in 9th place. Maze is in 10th. Weed Nation 11th. Blaster there rejoins in 12th place. Does he ahead of Weed Nation? As yes, he does. Or is that Blizzard? I think that's Blizzard, actually. Now that I come to think of it, if we see some blue lights flashing, it's going to be Blizzard. I think it is, yes, because that's the Toro Rosso of DarrenSinclair there. But I don't think Blaster has actually had any blue flags yet. Now he does, and Blizzard gets through. But the Gort has managed to find a way past Light E there. And Light E into the DRS zone now as he closes and closes, coming up towards the chicane. Now the Gort goes defensive, and Light E has to brake earlier as the Gort then tries to find a way through the chicane there, and he does. Stays ahead of Light E and his attack there. Pazels does come into the pits now, but this will be a chance for him to go on some ultra soft tyres, as he may have missed his braking point, but points are still on the table for him. In he comes then, and on goes some super softs. So he's going to take some super softs to the end of the race, as well as a front wing change. It's been a very dramatic race, of course, but it isn't over yet. We've still got 12 laps to go in this one. Where does Pazels rejoin then? On some new super soft tyres. Does he rejoin in front of Little Piece? He's going to rejoin side by side with Little Piece, that's for sure. And Pazels here falls behind into 13th place, but he's on fresher tyres, and ultra soft runners up ahead are going to start struggling. Light E then losing the back end, coming out of the hairpin, and has lost a lot of time on the Gort here. Currently lies in 8th place. We've got Raikkonen into the pits there, changing a front wing and going on to some ultra soft tyres. Well, did he hit the wall? In any case though, well, he rejoins out of the garage, which is an interesting way to stop the car. But Raikkonen now heads towards the end of the pit lane now. Off goes his limiter, and where will he rejoin? He should rejoin in 8th place with no cars around him, and he does, and he's on some ultra soft tyres, so expect to see some very quick lap times from Raikkonen in that Red Bull. Little Piece then behind his teammate Plaster, as Plaster picks himself up a time penalty there, but Little Piece in the slipstream now, as he'll pull to the side. Will he try and move down the inside? Yes, he will, into turn 1, and has to back out of it there. but he's putting Plaster under pressure here as he sees Pezels behind him as well. But Little Piece still putting Plaster under pressure as DarrenSinclair comes very close to the wall there. We'll see Little Piece here still putting Plaster under pressure. And now Lambo is into the pits here. And Lambo is just going on to some ultra soft tyres. Away he goes. Maybe he didn't think he was going to make it to the end on those super softs. So he's now on a set of ultra softs. Does he rejoin in front of Z3? We will have a look now. There goes C3 across the start-finish line. Lambo comes out of the pits here, and the interesting pit lane, you can see that even if you rejoin and the car behind goes through, you could still get in front of them because of the first corner. So Lambo here rejoins in 4th place, and again, get ready for some quick lap times from Lambo there. Little Piece putting Plaster under pressure. He's got to watch out for Pezels behind him. This battle for 11th place is heating up as we head in. 10 laps to go. As now Little Piece runs wide there, goes onto the grass, and has lost all that time. And onto the marbles he goes, and now he goes side by side with Pezels as they head towards turn 3. And Pezels here looks like he's going to gain a position. No, the Haas there sticks with him, and the Haas is into the wall. He's out of the race. Oh my goodness, I'm not entirely sure what happened there. We didn't get the best camera angle there, but Little Piece into the wall, and he's out of the race. We're right on board with Light E then, trying to chase down the Gort. He's stabilising the gap just a bit, maybe even gaining some time on him as well on the soft tyres. The Gort Super Softs may be wearing out towards the end of this race. Still some way to go though, 10 laps to go. Blizard here still leads the way as he heads towards the final chicane. There's his teammate Weed Nation in 10th place. So you can see here how quick Blizard and DarrenSinclair have been all session, all race today. As we see Spike there 22 seconds behind Blizard right now. It's almost a pit stop ahead. With 9 laps to go then, Blizard still leads the way. DarrenSinclair is in 2nd, Spike is in 3rd. We've got Lambo 4th, Z3 5th, the Gort's in 6th, Light E is in 7th, Raikkonen 8th, Maze is in 9th, Weed Nation 10th, Plaster 11th, Pezels 12th, and Steph is in 13th. We've had 3 retirements, Little Piece, CG and Alan K all crushing out of this race. So here we go then, Raikkonen trying to chase down Light E. I said he'd be quick on these ultra soft tyres. We're about to see how quick he's actually going to be as he heads towards the final chicane now. I believe this was his, it's either going to be his 2nd lap. I think it's his 2nd lap on the ultra soft. So are we going to see a fastest lap of the race? No, we're not. And with Raikkonen battling Light E now, we might not get that fastest lap. Raikkonen still on Light E's case. 2 tyres compound difference. And Weed Nation here has got a 5-second time penalty for ignoring the blue flags. Sebastian Vettel won't think of him highly at all there, as we refocus on Light E and Raikkonen here. Raikkonen getting a much better line through turn 7 there, and you can see Light E taps the wall. Raikkonen doesn't need a second invitation and takes that position. Up into 7th place he goes. Pezels trying to chase down Plaster for 11th place. Picks himself up a time penalty, and they'll all add up towards the end of the race, and we'll see what happens. Of course, with the stop-go penalties, of course, DarrenSinclair has one of them. Sometimes it adds 2 5-second time penalties on when you only had 1. So we may need to do some reconfiguring, and that's why we say the official, unofficial results at the end of the race, because the stewards have to go through and check the game is actually working properly and get the gaps right. Pezels then, still on the back of Plaster. He's within DRS range now according to those telemetry stats as he heads towards Plaster now. Into the slipstream he goes. DRS wide open, and with the back markers now, they may have been tried to fuel to the end of the race. Now they have a lap spare where they can really attack, so they can go into -1 lap because they are a lap down. So we can see faster laps from Pezels, Plaster, Weed Nation, who's been penalised for the blue flags. Mays is coming around here, and he's the next car to be lapped by Blizard with 7 laps to go. As Spike here comes into the pits. Does he put on a set of Ultra Softs? Yes, he does. Well, interesting move from Spike. Maybe Spain's come back to haunt him there, and he didn't want to risk anything there. Saw he had enough of a gap to Lambo there to get himself out onto some Ultra Soft tyres. He doesn't want a repeat of Spain. If you didn't see that one, he got a puncture on the very last lap. Had to do an entire lap with a flat front right. He doesn't want that happening again, and he'll thankfully come into the pits and put on a set of boots to get him to the end of the race. He's got 3rd place secure then if he can keep it onto the track. Raikkonen then chasing down the Gort. This is the battle for 6th place, as you can see how quick he is out there. We're going to ride on board. You can see the traction, the difference in grip Raikkonen has to the Gort. As we'll see now, what can he do as we head through turn 9. You can see the Gort runs slightly wide, and again Raikkonen instantly latches onto the opportunity, trying to go down the inside into the hairpin. He goes, and has he got the move stuck? Yes, he has. Up into 6th place goes Raikkonen. Lambo here is still on the back of Spike. 6 laps to go in this race, and well, Spike here has got to really attack if he wants to stay ahead of Lambo. He's got to keep pushing. Pezos here on the back of Plaster, and with Weed Nation pitting, this has now become a battle for the point, the last point in the race, and it's going to be fought between Plaster and Pezos here. We head into the DRS zone now, as we'll see what can happen here. Plaster is already trying to be side by side with Plaster as they head towards the chicane. They're going to be too wide going through there, and Pezos clips the curb there, taps that wall of champions and gets away with no damage. Very, very lucky indeed, but he's got to compose himself and come back. 5 laps to go in this race. Blizard still leads the way with DarrenSinclair in 2nd, Spike in 3rd. We ride on board with Raikkonen then, as he's closing now in on Z3, and with 5 laps to go, you would think this is the last position he's going to take, or has a chance of taking. Anyway, Spike there, 1:12.2. That is an incredible lap time. As we head through the final chicane, and now we could see Raikkonen trying to make a move, as the Gort in the background there, slightly running wide there. He's inviting pressure from Light E there, as Raikkonen tries the switch back there to go up the inside. And has he got the traction? No, he hasn't. Not this time. But he's putting the pressure on Z3 here for 5th place. We'll head around the turn 5 here into turn 6 and then through turn 7 now, as we see Raikkonen and Z3 fight over 6th place. Raikkonen in the Red Bull as he tries to find a way through, tries to put Z3 under some pressure, maybe force a mistake, and there we go. Raikkonen gets the better traction, he cuts back, and there it is. There's that mistake he was looking for, and Raikkonen puts it up into 5th place. But Z3, will he have DRS? Can he have an attack back as soon as Raikkonen's made it through? Well, we'll have a see here. Z3, does he have DRS? Yes, he does, as Spike goes even faster, 1:12.0. We'll see then the Gort trying to keep up, but he can't, as Raikkonen then, I think he secured 6th place there. Z3 did very well there to keep Raikkonen back as long as he did, that is for sure. But new Ultra Softs against worn Softs, there's really only going to be one winner in that one. So Blizard then, through the chicane he goes, and with only now, as he crosses the line, 3 laps to go in this race, the Canadian Grand Prix. DarrenSinclair is in 2nd, Spike is in 3rd place, Lambo 4th, Raikkonen 5th, Z3 in 6th, the Gort's in 7th, Light is in 8th, Mays is in 9th, Plaster 10th, Pazel's in 11th spot, Weed Nation 12th, and Steph is there in 13th place. So then, Blizard still leading the way. He does have penalties, of course, as does DarrenSinclair, so we'll have to wait till the end of the race. Meanwhile, we're seeing Light E battle away with, I believe that's Steph. Steph's trying to unlap himself here. Yeah, it's the 92 car of Steph, and Light E there has tapped the wall. As Steph lets him back through, and I don't think Light E's going to be very happy there at all. It's like the Hamilton situation where he tried to get in the way of the Red Bull, or like something like that. Anyway, Light E then, yeah, he's taken front wing damage, and he was on a good charge to try and chase down the Gort here. And once again, Steph, he's going to try and unlap himself here. Hazel's then still trying to go onto the back of Plaster. Then we've got 2 laps to go, as again my voice is already trying to give up. 2 laps to go as Pazel's here tries to turn up the heat here and try and chase down Plaster. Didn't get the best exit coming out of turn 13 there. He's got 2 laps to try and do something about the gap between himself and Plaster, and for the last point in this race. Light E there, you can see, I believe that is Steph. Yeah, Steph has fallen back now. And Light E is going to try and just push his way to the end of the race now. There is the Gort. And you'll see Blizard here coming round the hairpin. Pazel's, has he made the move? Yes, he has. Did Plaster lose the back end? I think he's got a bit of front wing damage on the front, on the right-hand side of the front wing. Yes, he has. So he must have tapped the wall, and Pazel's then takes 10th place. He's got the last point for now. So then Blizard, on he goes then to start the last lap of this Canadian Grand Prix. It's Blizard leading right now. DarrenSinclair's 3.8 seconds behind. And for Blizard then, well, he may not have got pole position, but he got the move done on DarrenSinclair and just started to run away with it. DarrenSinclair picking up that stop-go. But we'll have to see what happens at the end of the race. That's why we call them the official, unofficial results, because we have to consult with the stewards before we confirm the results. That's why sometimes the points change from the last race to the next. That's due to the stewards' inquiry. But as Blizard here is on his final lap of the race, he'll head through turns 8 and 9 for the last time, heading towards the hairpin now. As we've got the Renault there, I believe that is of Steph there, as he gets out of the way of Blizard. He'll come down Casino straight. He's already starting to celebrate. Well, I wouldn't celebrate too soon, because Nigel Mansell did that at this very in the 80s and ran out of fuel, and the gearbox failed. Don't celebrate too early, Blizard. But he comes through the last chicane for the final time, heads towards the line. And it's going to be Blizard out on track who takes the race win at the Canadian Grand Prix. DarrenSinclair takes 2nd place and finishes 5.8 behind Blizard. Mays there is the first of the lap cars to finish. He'll take 9th place. And Pazel's is going to come across the line to take 10th place, and a valuable point for himself and for Sauber. But it's taken away by Plaster and Red Bull through penalties. A harsh way to lose the point there. Spike will come home in 3rd place. Lambo in 4th with penalties. With penalties added on, Spike will take that final place on the podium. So the top 3 drivers in the championship fill up the top 3 spots on the podium. Raikkonen then, it's been a tough race for him, but my goodness did he recover well. He comes across the line in 5th place. Z3 comes across and finishes in 6th place. The Gort heads towards the line with Light E, and we'll confirm those results. The Gort finishes in 7th and Light E finishes in 8th place. But your race winner here at Canada, round 7, goes to Blizard. Well, Blizard, DarrenSinclair and Spike. How many times will we see all of those three drivers on the top step of the podium this season? But a win for Blizard here at Canada. So then, your official, unofficial results. Blizard finishes in first place. DarrenSinclair in second. Spike finishes in third place. Lambo is fourth. Raikkonen finishes in fifth. Z3 is in sixth. The Gore in seventh. Light E is in eighth. Maze is in ninth. Plaster was 10th. Paisl's caught out of the line there just about. He finishes in 11th place. Weed Nation 12th. Steph was there in 13th. We had Little Piece there, I believe, was 14th. Force India of... No, it's gone. And Alan K there in 16th. Well, that's it for the Canadian Grand Prix. And, well, that flew by, didn't it? Battles all across the track. Up front, in the middle, and maybe even for the last point of the championship. So much drama has happened today. Certainly, it's been a fantastic race to watch. So the next round is at Baku, Azerbaijan. So the tight street circuit with that terrible, terrible castle section. I wonder how many drivers are going to be caught out by that section. Until Azerbaijan, though, I've been Kieran McGinley. You've been watching. Take care of yourselves, and I'll see you next time.